This part's kind of confusing. So I'll do my best to give you a good overview of it, but it's a really cool procedure because so many children have trouble with this initiation thing. They hang out in that trip train land and they never learn to go on their own until something like a big intervention like this occurs. And this is a pretty new procedure in the research, I think. So Pat and I did it in my thesis study. I think we were the second to do it. And then since then, it looks like more people are so this is cutting edge. We did pretty well with this one. This is a really cool procedure to teach initiation. So hang in there with me. And if I don't explain it well, certainly ask questions at the end, but I'll do my best. So during toilet training, as I've said, some trainees start approaching the toilet independently when they have to go. And we do arrange those intervals to fade them out in such a way that that's very possible. By the end of that last scheduled toilet sittings part, the child's hardly on the toilet anymore. But some kids, they'll wait till they're on the toilet. So when they get to the point in that procedure where they've been so successful that they're on the toilet for 5 minutes, then they're off for 30, because remember the intervals keep changing, they'll still wait for that 5. They're never gonna go on their own, right? So then we know this needs to happen. So if a child continues to have accidents, if an adult doesn't prompt them to use the bathroom, then they probably need this procedure based on what I do. So to teach initiation to trainees who don't start doing it spontaneously, we use scheduled chair sittings. And again, initiation means approaching the toilet independently or asking to go to the bathroom prior to successful elimination. So how scheduled chair sittings works is rather than sitting on the actual toilet, the child sits on a chair near the toilet or a cushion. Depends. Some kids really like hanging out on the floor over like a little kid-sized chair. A big couch cushion is fine. Might get pee on it. A pillow's fine. Just there needs to be an object that they sit on that's there that can be moved. Okay. So here we go. When the trainee, and I should say too that next bullet is they can still do activities while on the chair, just like on the scheduled toilet sittings. It's exactly the same thing, but they're on a chair now. So they can have their iPad or whatever you decided they could do, play, look at, engage with while they're on the toilet, they can do on the chair. So the idea is that when the child needs to urinate, they'll move to the toilet to do it. But if they don't and begin to pee on the chair, the instructor will prompt them to move using the most minimal assistance possible. So as a trainee becomes successful at moving from the chair to the toilet, the chair gets moved further and further away. So is this making, can you picture it? So the toilet's here, the child's on a chair right here. They could spit in the toilet, it's right there. So when they need to go, the idea is they're so close, they just kind of shift their butt and they're on the toilet, right? And then as they're more successful with that, the chair gets farther away, so it's a harder move for them. So it kind of makes sense, right? It's sort of interesting. You're controlling how hard it is for them to get to the toilet. Because getting to the toilet when you're outside jumping on the trampoline is really hard. But getting to the toilet when you're right next to it is pretty easy. So that's the idea. It just gives you so much more control. So I'll give you a little more detail here. So why we do it is putting the trainee near but not on the toilet gives them the opportunity to initiate independently. And like I said, that chair or cushion, doesn't matter which one, adds control. So slowly moving it further away makes the initiating just slightly more difficult over time. And you have a plan for how fast you move. Yep?
Are you also doing your intervals?
Yes. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second, yeah.
And so this is how much of the off the toilet time are they chair?
Good question. That's the next. There's no more toilet time. They're just on the chair. There's no more toilet. They're just on the chair. They just move to the toilet when they need to go.
When you're doing the chair, you're not doing.
No, you're done the toilet. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that there. That was a good time to ask that question. So the toilet's done. They've mastered that part. They're really good at going when they're sat on the toilet. No problem there. What they need to work on is moving to it. So now instead of parking them on the toilet, you're parking them on the chair or the cushion or whatever. So like I said, as they get more successful, the chair migrates all over your house until it's in the backyard. I had a kid last summer next to his trampoline on his chair, and then we're good now. He doesn't need the chair. Like, he got truly outside the house, so that was good. So moving the chair, like you were just asking, your child's no longer on the toilet. They're just on the chair. So maintaining the schedule, so this is the schedule I talked a little bit about earlier, 20 minutes sitting, 15 minutes break. The chair is moved 2 feet or so. You don't have to get out the measuring tape. Do a good eyeball is fine. Further away from the toilet after 3 consecutive corrects. So after the child 3 times in a row goes from here to here, pees, here to here, pees, here to here, pees, then you know, okay, he's pretty good. I'm moving it 2 feet farther away. So then they're getting a little bit farther away. But it's still right there. Like, you're probably still in the bathroom for about 9 more pees or so, right? Depending on the size of your bathroom. So correct means, in this case, the trainee didn't need any assistance to move from the chair or the break to the toilet. So as you can see, it's 20 minutes, right? Sitting in the chair, 15 minutes break. So we're giving them a little bit more time when they're on the break now, too, to make that move on their own. What we're really looking for is that they'll go when they're in the kitchen getting their peanut butter sandwich. Oh, I gotta pee, because they're on their break, and that's what we really want, is that the chair becomes not a big deal anymore. As it moves slowly farther away, what's the deal with this chair anymore? No problem, I can pee. So I've seen that happen. It works really, really well. So a little more detail. The chair is moved further away from the toilet, 2 feet increments, as I said, until it's 20 feet away, at which time the chair stays at about 20 feet away. So you're across the house now, like maybe you're in the child's bedroom or somewhere else they hang out. I wouldn't recommend going up the stairs with the chair, so whatever works for you within safety. After every 3 successes, you'll move the chair time down. So that's another way of fading out the chair. So they're 20 feet away, they hardly need the chair anymore. You'll decrease how long they're on the chair. So again, just trying to take the chair out of the picture. Some kids at this stage, they're waiting to be put on the chair, because then they know, oh, go to the toilet. But most of the time, but at this point, it's like, what's going on with the chair? I gotta pee. They're going from the break. You've taken that control off of the toilet and put it onto something else, right? The chair is what's making them pee. So it's a bit of a funny procedure, but again, it works. So some do's around this. Do provide the trainee with some fun things to do while sitting, just like a scheduled toilet sitting. They can read a book, watch a DVD, play a game, whatever. If they start to have an accident while on the chair, you move them to the toilet using the most minimal assistance you possibly can. So this is a place where, no matter what, say nothing, be as invisible as you can. Pat mentioned being behind them when she was talking about it. That's really good too. They shouldn't be looking at your face. What are we doing here? Like, you're invisible. You're hardly part of this. So quickly, quietly, and efficiently help them get to the toilet. But in bold there, teaching initiation is about removing yourself. You're not part of it anymore. It's about the child moving when they need to go. So the don'ts are quite related, so I'll just move on. So don't move the trainee from the chair to the toilet, even if they're squirming, whining, or otherwise giving signs that they need to eliminate immediately. The longer you wait, the more likely they are to realize on their own that they need to go. So if you see squirming, and they're looking kind of desperate, this is a time to let it fester a little bit, especially when they're right there, right? Like, the toilet's right there. They're less than 2 feet away. Getting up and moving, a lot of kids do it there. Like, a little bit of pee comes out, and then they do it. They really do it, and it's a breakthrough moment. Fireworks, they did it, because they move such a short distance. So it seems funny, but in this case, it is really better to allow an accident to start happening and interrupt it by moving them to the toilet. So you really want them to learn that gotta go pee means I gotta get to the toilet. So the feeling, gotta go pee, I gotta get to the toilet. It shouldn't mean gotta go pee, someone tell me what to do, someone tell me, because we can't tell when they have to go pee every time, right? We can't always get in there and say, I think you have to go pee, go to the toilet. It needs to be, the feeling is what makes them move there. So yeah, the chair part is probably the wackiest. But again, it's a really good solution for kids who just aren't getting the initiation part down. And I've worked with a couple kids now who I've actually started them at the chair sittings phase. So just that's another option. So they were already really good at going to the bathroom, so eliminating it correctly when they were taken, but they just weren't getting the initiation part. We started right here, and it worked quite well for quite a few kids. Yeah?
Can you mix and match the two approaches if you're doing like the long time one that Pat was saying? And then the kid is trip trained and is dry, but only if you take them. And then teach initiation with the chair, like right next to it?
Great question. Whew, I've never had that one. So the question was, if you get a child trip trained using a different approach like what Pat was talking about this morning, then can you go and do the chair sittings approach? Yeah, totally. I mean, a lot of families that call me up that have kids who, he's trip trained. I have no idea how they got trip trained, right? Like it could have been, I have no idea. So I can start here regardless of what happened first, regardless of the history. Yeah, definitely possible. I just might have another point. Just want to make sure I hit it all. Okay. I just have I'm nearing the end of what I was planning to talk about. So just a few more points about kind of complicated cases. So Pat mentioned this morning, we just don't have time today to talk about nighttime training, things like that. Some kids have a lot of problems there. There's also kids who have, and some of you have come up with really, really good questions today, near stumpers, I might say. But there are many procedures around toilet training that are really cool and for unique kids that are in the research about toilet training. So a behavior analyst would be able to help you navigate that. So an example of one procedure I've done with a child that's right from the research is kids who just will not poo in the toilet. They are going to poo in their pull-up until the cows come home, as my mother would say. So a really cool procedure that I've used a couple times that right from the research is fading the diaper away, so cutting a hole in it, and then a bigger hole, and then a bigger hole, and then no diaper. Worked like a charm every time. So those are kind of cool, and we just don't have time to talk about that today, but there are tricks of the trade. Another one is, pouring water over the child's genitals, kind of warm water if they're a real holder. Lots of kids, that's the ticket. So those are the kind of things that are also out there that we just couldn't touch on today. But children who are really resistant for any reason, yeah, that's my specialty. So I'm really happy to help you with that. And again, just there's more in the research than what we could talk about today. So I'm also not going to talk about generalization to other settings. So Pat was saying an advantage of the long way, which is totally true, is you can do it wherever you are. So if you're at the mall when it's time to go, go. If you're at grandma's house, go. If you're at school, go. This really, it needs to be done in one place. And then depending on the family, depending on the child and those sorts of things, I'll make a generalization plan with the family. But again, a lot of kids just, if they get it this well at home, they're pretty good to go. I rarely have to make generalization plans that are extensive. Most kids will transfer it to school without an issue. But again, just so you know, definitely part of what I do with families. I don't just leave them here, okay, chair sittings are done, see you later. There's more to it than that. Also teaching the child to tell you when they need to go. Again, we just didn't get into that much today because it's so dependent on the child's, where they're at with language, if they're getting a lot of language instruction somewhere else, us telling you, well, the way to do it is to use a picture symbol. We don't know your kid, right? We don't know what level of communication they're at. So it really depends on the child and the situation. So there's more to it than that.